are we not aiming for an increase of the number of apprenticeships till 2023? Maybe just to clarify that.
We'll get you the exact number, but suffice to say, and you're aware that in the Apprenticeship Action Plan, we're setting a target to build to 10,000 new registrations per annum and up to a figure of 25 in the system. That's a key that's in, or a target that's in the plan. But just by way of information, and we can supply these details to you afterwards as well, Chair, to have it circulated to you. Just to give you a bit of an overview of where we are, the total number of persons enrolled in apprenticeships in 2014 was 6,913. If you step that up to, that's 2014, if you step that up to 2017, that figure increases to 12,851. And if you step it up to the end of 2020, that figure was 19,630. So it's positive that there's an increase. It's a space, as you know, that's growing. We've discussed it on many occasions, and as late as this week in the Dáil, there's a lot happening in that space. Capacity is being expanded, as you know, and I think the response from people in terms of viewing apprenticeships as a career pathway and an option is becoming obvious to people and has been taken up, which is positive.
Yeah, and that's why I think because you'll see from those figures like 6,913 in 2014, we were so far behind, and that's why I think we need to monitor it on a basis, as well as the number of dropouts that there are as well, that we need to keep advancing forward, and we need kind of clarity around, you know, that we are measuring it properly across the board, because we are still, and I know you'll agree that we're still way behind other countries in the way that we need to in terms of apprenticeships and how it's all handled. Just in terms of the backlog of phase 4 and 6, in November, Minister Harris said that would be cleared in the early months of 2022, but instead of that, we've actually seen the number of registered apprentices trying to access the classroom training jump back up by 2,500 in the last 2 months. You know, this would suggest that there hasn't been progress since November, when all the capacity restrictions were lifted. So I'm just trying to get a take on, are we really making advances on the numbers that are waiting, the backlog, in clearing the backlog? Okay,
and I'm repeating myself, and I'm not trying to repeat myself for any other reason other than it's a fact. You know that an amount of 37 million euros between last year and this year has been provided to clear the backlog. And Solace and our ETBs are hiring more trainers, are building more capacity, but it is a fact that we've increased registrations coming into the system also. They are, now I don't have the figures which I had in the Dáil earlier in the week available to me here now to quote to you, but suffice to say that it is the priority of all to address that backlog.
Yeah.
And we'll get the committee chair an up to date as of the 31st as of the end of January, just passed, in terms of the numbers where exactly we are.
Yeah, please, because you know what I need to know as well is how many apprentices are currently not even included on the waiting list figure because they've been given a date, but they're waiting. But it's just that they've been given a date on it. So and maybe you could clarify
Deputy,
that.
Just to say as well, and you know this, but I think it's just worth restating. The National Apprenticeship Office is kicking into gear. The director has been appointed, and that will be a key focus of that office also in terms of addressing the backlog and also addressing the point that you've quite rightly raised. It was raised by another deputy in the Dáil on Tuesday evening in relation to dropout. That's something which will be on the work programme of the director of the National Apprenticeship Office to address that issue.
And you'll give us that figures here in the committee when you have the dropout one. Absolutely. That would be good. Yeah. Because in terms of phase 2, Minister Harris said that the backlog would be cleared, because obviously that's where the majority are on the waiting list. He said it would be cleared by the end of 2022. Is that the case, that it will be cleared?
That's what he said, and that's the intention.
Yeah. How much of the overall increase in the total number of apprenticeships is the result of increased registrations, and how much is as a result of the apprenticeship being trapped in the system? I'm hoping, and I take what you're saying in terms of the National Apprenticeship Office, that lots of these things will be able to decipher so we can really see clearly, because I think it's important, and it's important for yourself as well, in terms of investments that are being made to clear the backlogs, that we're able to measure it in a very clear and transparent way, that everybody knows where they're, and everybody knows that we're making progress, because we want to, obviously, we all want to make progress in it. But I'm concerned sometimes in the way that things are presented in terms of the phases and all that, that it's difficult to dig beneath it to find out actually what's going on, and are we getting value for money, and are we going quick enough to stay ahead and to really make progress there? Okay,
and to be helpful and to try and give the level of detail that you're asking for, we can endeavour to give the information that you're looking for with a month-by-month analysis.
Okay, good. That would be useful. And I just want to ask you, how much did the state save as a result of the backlog in apprenticeship system in 2020 and 21?
Yeah, we can't give you that number now. We'll provide you that number. Okay.
I think it may be around 55 million, but I serve to be corrected on that. And how much of that, I want to know, has been allocated specifically to clearing the backlog to it? I want to get the difference between them in terms of the savings that were made and how much then is allocated to that. Okay, I want to ask you, you refer to in your statement around the increased undergraduate places to support the Leaving Cert students. Do we know how many undergraduate places, additional undergraduate places are being created at this stage? And the other, quite to follow on from that, I want to know how many of those you refer rightly as well to identifying the industries that were crying out for staff around digital infrastructure, cybersecurity, construction, transport, logistics, climate sustainability. How many of the places are we matching up where we're seeing obviously the urgent skills shortages to creating the places?
Okay, so just to give some overview, the number of students in full-time higher education, which includes universities and technological universities, and our institutes of technology and our other higher education colleges, in the year 2020 was 165,946. In the year 2014, it was about 151,360. So you can see the increase of that. The split between undergraduate and postgraduate, favouring undergraduate, is 85% to 15%. So you see that we've had a demographic increase and increase in the numbers who are attending college. Last year, our department engaged with the universities and the higher education institutes in terms of providing increased places on the high demand courses. That collaboration, that discussion is going to happen again this year. I can't give you an update on it here now where we're at with it in relation to this year. We ensured last year that additional places were made available, around 200 additional places on nursing and midwifery.
Are they private or public in terms of the nursing places?
We'll give you, we'll give the committee chair a proper analysis of that right across the high demand courses, including that point that you raised, Deputy. Medicine, veterinary, teaching, ICT.
Yeah.
These were the high demand areas. So we'll give you we'll give the committee an exact analysis. And again, it's a pressure that's going to be faced this year.
And then a forecast, and I'll make the final point, it's just in terms of the increases that you rightly outlined there. That is why my question on the per student figure is very important. Because of the chronic underfunding of the system. So it's one thing adding the places, but it's an entirely different thing when we look at per student how much is invested in creating those places, because I'm very conscious of the pressure that's put on the institutes to deliver more and more, and I'm concerned about the quality and the integrity of the education that can be delivered with such restricted budgets there. So. Again, I think it's important we
get that. And just to make the point, Chair, to the committee, which is very important in terms of CAO and places and offerings, that the metric which was achieved last year was in line with previous years, in that 50% of CAO applicants received their first choice, their first preference, and 80% of applicants received their first, second or third choice on their CAO application. So that was, I suppose, a benchmark metric which was pre-COVID, and it was able to be managed and delivered through COVID.